Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan Contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
You mentioned there was a Tower of Babel-like event when languages were dispersed. So from what star system does English come, if at all? Or does it evolve subsequently from Celtic, Latin, German, etc.? Yeah, I mean, because in Star Trek, they all speak English, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. The English language has evolved out of Aldebaran. And it was a language that was specifically chosen because it was very, very limited in its ability to relate and to describe events. Now, what's interesting about that is that it was chosen specifically in order that the ability to share information accurately and in great depth would be limited. Now, all of the languages we have on this planet, many of them have been changed from their original form. Are all extraterrestrial languages. They wouldn't go out and create new languages. They would, when the decision was made by the Orion group and the Biru to alter the language, to separate humanity and to confuse all the languages, they chose languages they knew. And they dumbed them down, obviously. They dumbed them down. Interestingly enough, the more advanced civilizations, let me take that back. The more advanced languages are still those that write in hieroglyphic, which are your Eastern languages. The Germanic, Slavic languages come from very deep in the Orion system. There is not a huge difference between those languages and the Draconian language. Okay? The warrior class language of sounds and speech. Now I say that because the royals of these star nations, specifically those that have caste systems, they have their own language. And whenever they're talking to superior or underlings, they use a different type of language, so that whenever the royal lines are talking to themselves, no one else understands what they're saying, you see. Some of that was prevalent here on Earth for a while. It wasn't maintained. It was too difficult to maintain here on Earth. The French language is a derivative from the Tegeta star system in the Pleiades. It is not exact by any stretch, but the sounds and the vowels and the inflections are from an original language that was Pleiadian. Okay, we talked about that. The Asian language derived itself out of the Zeta Reticuli star systems. Now, what's interesting about that is that the Zetas themselves don't actually speak a language, but they conquered and absorbed slaves, captives that did use language. And the language that they learned to speak is in fact what we now would today refer to as the Asian languages. And how that system evolved is that a layer of management was built between the Zetas themselves and the slaves, the conquered people. And the telepathic language would be given to the management level, and then the management level would relay their wishes or their direct orders or what it is their agenda is, et cetera, in this specific language. And this specific language, the Asian language, is in essence the Zeta language spoken. All right? So if the Zetas were standing there or hiding somewhere or hovering, they would hear what everybody was saying. They could read their minds, their chains of thoughts in the language that they themselves telepathically communicate with, but don't speak. Okay? So the Asian language is a spoken telepathic language from the Zeta Reticuli region. And that's a very broad star system out there. The Hebrew is an Anunnaki language. The Sumerian language is Nibiru. Okay, now Nibiru and Anunnaki are two different tribes. They work together, but they're two different tribes. Okay, the Nibiru is the royal line. The Anunnaki is that middle management we were talking about. Okay? So the history of this planet is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I do not know where Portuguese came from, though. I'm going to add that as a question. Portuguese and Spanish. I don't know. I may have it somewhere in my old notes. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Jippy. Hey, guys, that was a good question. Thank you. I'm sorry it took so long to answer it.
Do we need much technology once we go to 5D?
No. No. What's interesting is that the technology is different. It's completely different than what we relate to today. But at the same time, your physical bodies in 5D become the technology itself for the most part. You see. I think in our reality, probably technology is 70, 80% of our consciousness, what we need to survive, or what we've been made to believe we need to survive. Where in 5D, having watched the A's for the limited amount of time that I have, they themselves are the technology. The environment that they live in essentially operates on its own to be of service to them. In other words, the technology that's being used is not something that they're dependent on, it's in service to them, if that makes any sense. That they are the technology. And I understand that the higher one goes in a dimensional consciousness, that when we return to source, there is no technology. You're just source. You are all that is, and one with all that is. There is no need for technology. It's a journey. It's a spiritual journey. And part of those chapters that we experience on the spiritual journey, each one of those chapters deals with a specific type of physicality. Chapter 3 is third density. Chapter 4 is fourth density. Chapter 5 is fifth density. There are chapters of physicality where we learn and experience creation and how to create, and to be always at one with our creation, and to understand the responsibilities to creating something physical or to creating a belief system, and how that all works in conjunction with the space of reality in which we are sharing with others who are doing the exact same. It's school. That's what it is. It's school. We're all in school. Okay? That was a good question. Thank you for that.
Does Morine see a shifting timelines or a solar flare? I'm curious if we will see chemtrails will just disappear one day, or will it be a 50-year process of the global elite slowly losing their grip? Thanks, Alex.
Okay. Thank you, Tricia. The last question, they don't have 50 years. They don't have 10 years. Okay? I would say they have less than 5. At least based on what I know at the moment, 5 is the ultimate max amount of time they have. Even if it's that long. Now, as far as the chemtrails, my understanding is that we're already getting help with that. And in some parts of the world, there no longer are chemtrails. But I do hear periodically where there are still chemtrails being used in certain parts of the planet. I'm not there, so I don't know for sure. Now, as far as a timeline for a solar flare, the sun is going into a solar minimum. So solar flares are supposed to be extremely rare. Now, if there's an outside influence that enters the solar system and triggers the sun, aka Hercopolis, that would be a completely different scenario. Now, I've heard it spoken that a solar flare is supposed to hit the planet and do something to our DNA. I have absolutely no knowledge of whether that's true or not. It has always been implied in my conversations with Mornay and Phaseus that it wouldn't be instantaneous because most people's psychology simply wouldn't be able to deal with it. That for some it would be much quicker, and then it's obviously already happening to a lot of people that are waking up. Okay, their frequency is rising, their DNA is vibrating at a higher rate. They are totally responding to the human resonance, and with every jump, we adapt. Okay, that spreads out and lengthens our ability to hold higher frequency. And that's key here, especially in physical form, is to be able to expand and hold that higher frequency. And then there are others who are coming up behind it. It's going to be in stages. Now, we may not be talking 50, 100 years for that to happen. If the galaxies are synchronizing because of a new frequency, that also means our galaxy is stabilizing and synchronizing itself with the frequency. So that affects us as well. So it's already occurring, the change in frequency. Do I think the sun is going to do something like that? I simply do not know. There has been talk in the past with Mornay and Phaseus when we talked about the Nibiru system coming through, that as it went over the sun, the two interact with each other. And what you don't want to do is be in between those two, like Mars was once upon a time. You don't want to be in between those two because the plasma lightning that's created by the positive and the negative is profound. Okay? And you don't want to be in the middle of that, which is why the delay tactic, so we would be on the other side of the sun. I would think if there was any threat to humanity by an explosion of a solar ray or a solar flare that of course would take out all of our technology, that they would probably put one or two motherships there to bounce it back or to bounce it up or bounce it below us so that we would not take a direct hit. It's very easy to do, and it's logical if they're here trying to help us evolve and to get to the next level, that's exactly what they would do. They would just park a couple of ships and they would use their fields and deflect the flare up or down or around us. Sort of a no-brainer, actually. And it's certainly something that I would do. I'm not worried about that at all. The only real genuine concern I have is whether humanity truly wants to be free. You know, are people absolutely ready to be self-reliant and self-aware, to take responsibility for themselves without being coerced by some higher authority? That is genuinely my only concern at this point. Will they do it? Because the ultimate goal for any civilization is to become a civilization of leaders. That doesn't mean you don't help, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't maybe do dirty jobs. It's whatever contribution you have, but you're equal in all ways. It's just where we each find ourselves wanting to help humanity. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. The idea is to use your strengths to assist and help humanity as you learn to strengthen your weaknesses. So that at some point you don't really have any weaknesses. You are a holistic human being. You know, that's ultimately the goal. That's a good question. Thank you so much for that.
Does the soul have a gender, a sex, or is it only controlled by the body's chromosomes? Is our memory stored only in the soul? And if so, how do walk-ins get our memories? Is our soul somehow still connected? And what about organ memories?
Well, you sure got a lot in there on that one question. Does the soul have a sex? I would think the soul could, how do I put this? I can only speak for myself. Okay? I've been shown past lives holding the feminine principle, and I have been shown past lives holding the male principle. I relate to both of them. Am I both right now? No, I'm not. Okay? I'm clearly a male. Does the soul only hold the memories? No, that's obviously not true, because DNA holds memory. In fact, they know for a fact DNA holds memory for at least 7 generations back. When you transfer an organ, is it made of your DNA? Yes, it is. Do those memories attach should your organs, upon your demise, be used in a donorship program? The answer to that is yes. And there has been a lot of studies that have been done about that, where organ donors have memories that they know aren't theirs, that have come with the organ, including recognition of people. You have to remember that all physicality, when you break it down to its simplest form, is light. It's light and frequency, okay? It's a harmonic. Your DNA is an antenna, a harmonic. That transfers because energy never dies. Even when the organs die, the energy doesn't die. It's transformed to something else, but it never dies. So as long as it never dies, memory is always with it. Okay, it doesn't go through the car wash. Doesn't get a wash and wax. Doesn't get a compound, and it comes out brand new, no scratches, no skiffs. None of that happens. Because the point of being spiritual beings, playing in physical realms, is to evolve the soul. And how far would you get if there was a rinse cycle and you were, and part of your life and your experiences were just washed away? That makes no sense to me. There is no rinse cycle. At some point, you have it all. And, Phaseus once said, he once said when he crossed over, when he left their physicality, and he said this very early on in my contacts with him, that he expected to look back at all of his lives and come to the understanding that it was all destiny. It was all destiny. Which would imply, if he's right, I don't know that, but if he was right, that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. If he's right. The Italians called it destino. When someone died, the Greeks, they never wrote obituaries. They would ask the simple question, did he live with passion? Did she live with passion? And they would celebrate that passion that those people had for life. And that separates us from a lot of other tribes of man in our galaxy and maybe in the whole universe, is that passion that we have. It's an enormous power. We just don't know how to control it. And because we don't know how to control it, we're played like violins, or we have been played like violins, by the dark side. So that's a good question. That's a very interesting question. That's my take on it. I don't know everything. If I did, I'd say, see ya. I'd be out of here. But I don't. I try, but I don't. I still have to go to summer school.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan Contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.